Hi everybody, thanks for coming back to the channel. I'm Jen, your friendly neighborhood technology coach, educator, previous administrator, here to talk about some of the biggest mistakes I see new teachers make in the hopes that if you are considering education for a career, that you don't make these mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes I see people do, even before they get into the profession, is they do not substitute. They do not do leave replacements prior to even going to school. If you are going to school to be an educator, you need to be substituting. You need to be getting your face into buildings. This serves two purposes. The first purpose this will serve is one, do you even like kids? And I'm being sincere. Do you really like kids? What age group do you like? You should be subbing K-12. You may think you want to be a kindergarten teacher, but once you get into that room and realize how mentally exhausting those littles can be at times, you might decide to do something different. You might think you want to be a secondary teacher, and then when you experience that preteen snark for the first time and feel really challenged, you might not want to do that, or you just may not want to be a teacher at all once you see how demanding the job can be. Now, this is not to put you off, but this is to give you a reality check. The simple fact is, not everybody is cut out for every role. I am not cut out to be a banker. I am not cut out to be a stockbroker. I am not cut out to be a CEO. I love kids. Teaching kids makes me feel young and it makes me feel more alive. Even though they can be challenging sometimes, I find the profession so rewarding and it makes me feel like I'm making a difference. You want to be in a role where you feel like you're making a difference in somebody's life. Getting into buildings early, substituting early, volunteering, all of those things will get you familiar with the age groups, what you like, and whether this is something that you really want to pursue. Another mistake that I see new teachers make, and we're talking about brand spanking new teachers, and even some veteran teachers sometimes, is not coming in early enough to set up your classrooms. Do not go by contractual time limits. Do not say, oh, the school year officially starts August 28th, so I'm going to come in August 27th. My friend, if you are waiting for those first 2 contractual days to set up your classroom, I don't even care if you're secondary, you are phoning it in, and we all know it. And I'm sorry if some people feel attacked, but it is what it is. If you're waiting till the last minute to set up your classrooms, you are asking for problems. Your technology will not be set up. You might have lost some furniture and you have to find it. I had a classroom for 12 years. All of the school's technology was stored in my classroom. If I did not show up, probably by the second week in August, just to check out my room, that stuff would not have been cleared in enough time for me to set up my room. You are in control of your space. Nobody is going to be as concerned about your space as you will be. So you need to make it your responsibility to be in there early. If you are a brand new teacher or brand new to a building, you want to be in there for the first time, first week in August at least. I know that sounds a bit extra, but hey, I'm here for your success. This is what I love to see, and this is what I also do. When you're in there early in August, and by the way, I'm in the Northeast, so our school year starts September 1. I realize a lot of the United States school years start actually mid-August, but where I'm from, our first day of school of students is usually after Labor Day. You want to be in at the very least 2 weeks before school starts, if not earlier. And I know if you're elementary, it's even earlier than that because you have a lot more stuff to set up. So that's the second mistake that I see new teachers make quite a bit, is just not giving themselves enough time in their classrooms to get the feel of their classroom, to get the feel of the flow of their room and how things are going to work. So don't make that mistake. Okay, here's something that can be often overlooked. If you're new to a community and new to a building, you may not be aware of your community's needs. My next mistake that I've seen new teachers make, and this could be veteran teachers, is not understanding the demographics of where you are and what your kids need. Sometimes you might have kids that need a little more structure, need a little more support, where you just need to understand that when you try and call parents, they're just not going to be available because they are working. And you might have a community that really thrives on a lot of parental involvement, and the parents really want to know what's going on in the school. So at one end, being very communicative may not seem valued by the community only because you might not get a ton of interaction. And in another community, they might really expect it. You really need to know the community that you're serving. Best way to do that is ask veteran teachers. Ask veteran teachers, like when you go in early, before the beginning of the school year, look to see whose other classrooms are already being set up. Ask those teachers about your community. How can you best serve your community? Always think about that. Okay, another mistake. And this is a funny one. And I don't mean to be calling anybody in particular out here. Elementary, I'm looking at you. Okay, over-decorating your classroom. I've done it. I had a space for everything, every single corner. I started off teaching in elementary kindergarten for 2 years. Then I moved on to technology. I have taught every single grade level, K to 12, in some capacity, even secondary English. So I understand the diverse needs of the elementary classrooms and the secondary classrooms. But here's the thing. Less is more. It is definitely more. The more cluttered your classroom, I don't care about the color palette or the vibe, it's for your kids, it's not for you. And we do want to have a classroom that we're comfortable working in, that we enjoy, but there doesn't have to be an anchor chart for everything. This goes back to Dr. Robert Dylan's, yes, Bob Dylan, Robert Dylan's book, The Space Book. And it's all about classroom spaces. The classrooms that have the calmest vibe visually, coincidentally also have a calm vibe. And you have to think, what is the space that your kids are going to learn best in? And I like to think of channeling like a nice living room, if possible. Doesn't mean that I have soft seating everywhere, but I do have some. But I'm thinking about the visual clutter. Anchor charts all over the room become white noise. They can be useful if you have an expiration date. You need that for the month. You don't need it for the entire year. So it's something to be aware of. Less is more, especially if you're an elementary school teacher. Consider your visual clutter. All of it becomes white noise, and it can be very difficult for kids, for example, like my daughter who has ADHD, to be overstimulated visually. Okay, here's another one. You are not their friend. I repeat this. You are not their friend. You can be friendly, you can be caring, you can be warm, but you are not their friend. I first started teaching secondary. I wanted the students to like me, and I was nervous. I had just made this tremendous jump from kindergarten to secondary, and I was trying to be more relaxed than I should have. Thankfully, none of it backfired, but it made it difficult for the kids to take me seriously when I needed them to buckle down. Listen, if you go into teaching and you care about students, you care about their education, that's going to come across. I don't need to be overly lenient in order to do my job effectively. I don't need to be quote unquote cool for me to do my job effectively. I need to be predictable, structured, understanding. I need to be somebody the students can trust and who is fair. Sometimes fair means when a student comes to you about a question about their grade, being open to hearing what they have to say. And sometimes agreeing with it and sometimes not. As long as you're transparent in what your practice is and have routines and have policies in place, you can always fall back on those. Students will grow to like you because of your predictability. They know what to expect. And hopefully because you genuinely like kids and want to help kids. That's going to come across. You don't need to be bending over backwards to be the cool teacher in order to build relationships with your kids. You build that by being predictable, understanding, respectful. When you are respectful, you get respect back. And just all around, care about your profession. All of that other stuff takes care of itself. Take that from me, because I made a lot of extra work for myself my first year in secondary trying to get kids to like me. One of the biggest mistakes that I see new teachers make is not asking for help. If you've been given a mentor, that's the person you want to use. Don't wait for your mentor to schedule appointments. You schedule appointments with your mentor. Make it weekly. Keep a list of your questions. Ask your team. This is really important, because if you're the kind of person who is insecure and wants to keep those questions to yourself because you want to figure it out because you don't want to seem like you need help, you're just being foolish. You need to ask for help. Especially if you're a brand new teacher, nobody expects you to know everything. You really need to be comfortable with asking for help in order to move forward. And that really looks good on you because you're willing to learn from others. The teachers I respect most are the teachers that are still asking questions. They're still asking, how can I do this better? What's even better than all of that is ask to go observe one of your colleagues. I've done that on several occasions. In my newer district, I observed a few of my colleagues and how they ran their classroom. So do that. It goes a long way. Okay, one of the last things I'm going to mention, but the most important thing, if not the most important thing, one of the top three is classroom management. Classroom management is going to make you or break you. You could be a master at your particular academic area and stink at classroom management. Classroom management is all about routines, predictability, consistency. From the moment your students walk in that room, what are they expected to do? Do you have a consistent routine? Do you have consistent grading policies? All of this is super important. Do you have consistent rewards and consequences that you stick to? Do you have phone calls home when a student's excelling? I noticed that, and I have to say I've probably done this too, where I will have rewards, but I'll do more of the consequences than the rewards. And really, when kids know that you're sending like a positive note home or a positive phone call home, it means the world to them. It means the world to their parents. So consistency in classroom management is essential. And as a new teacher, you really don't have it. You have some that you might have developed during student teaching. If you're somebody who's a teaching fellows and you just get thrown right into a classroom, you need to get some books right away. You need to watch some videos right away on age-appropriate classroom management. But this is one of those things where I strongly urge you to observe colleagues. Talk to your colleagues and say, hey, listen, it's the first time I'm teaching this. What do you have the kids do when you first come in? And just don't take the first person's word for it. You need to ask a few other people, because your method is not going to be the same as everybody else's, but you might take an amalgamation of other people's methods to make yours. When you're considering classroom management, if you use a digital learning, you need to talk about how that's going to be used. You need to walk students through that process. If you're using Google Classroom, how are you organizing your units? Are you using topics to organize your units, or are your topics organizing your quarters? Are things going to be scheduled from top to bottom or bottom to top? How can they search things? All of these understandings will save you so much time with misunderstandings later. The stronger your classroom management, the more trust your administration has in you. There's nothing wrong with needing improvement in classroom management. I don't know of any teacher that I respect that is not constantly looking to find another way to improve their classroom management. But I have to say, out of all the things that I've seen make or break teachers, classroom management is probably the top. So definitely invest time on classroom management for your grade range, and you're going to do great. Just a side note, how do you know if teaching's for you? Does it make you happy at the end of the day? No job is going to make you 100% happy at the end of every day. But do you walk away from the job most times feeling like you made a difference? Does it make you happy? So here's a little personal anecdote. I've been an educator since 1996, so almost 30 years. I started off as a TA, I was subbing at the same time, and I started teaching kindergarten for 2 years. And I went into administration. I was an administrator for about 7 years. And I decided through a lot of different family stuff and personal life journeys, I wanted to return to the classroom, so I did. And I could not believe how happy I was to go back to the classroom. Like, I knew I loved kids, but when I tell you how ridiculously happy I was to see those faces again and just see that energy, being an admin had removed me a lot from that. And it's funny, when I brought my kids to my school, my children thought I'm a strict parent, and I'm okay with that. But it was so funny because my kids did not realize how well liked I was. And my son looked at me and was like, "Mom, you really love this, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, buddy. This is what I was meant to do. Nothing makes me happier than what I'm doing right now. Working with teachers and working with kids makes me happier than anything else, besides my family and my children." So if you don't feel that way, if you don't feel lit up about teaching, it's time for a change. Maybe a change of building, change of grade, have a new experience. But if you're just new to teaching, welcome. I'm happy you're here. We need you, and we need your energy. I'll see you in the next one.